Okay, I hope that worked. Greetings, welcome to the piercing life. I think that's what you're here for. I hope that's what you're here for. Welcome to my corner where I'm going to tell you all about all the piercings that I have on my ears. I have 11 piercings. I'm going to show them all to you, give you my feedback and thoughts, and then talk about some questions that people usually ask me and all of that good stuff. Without further ado, let's get into the video. I got my first lobe piercings when I was 8. Originally they were studs with red gemstone from Claire's, but I have since replaced them with medium hoops from Majuri. The first piercings I got at Crow were my double lobes and my left helix. That would be this one on this side. I went back a week later and got my second left helix piercing, as well as my cartilage on the right side. The third time I went, I ended up getting my triple lobe piercings on both sides. I got my conch as well. And I got my third helix piercing on my left ear. It's this one right in the middle. I have 11 ear piercings, 9 of which I got in the span of 3 weeks when I was studying abroad in South Korea my freshman year. I got my first 2 lobe piercings when I was 8 years old for my birthday. I went to a Claire's and they're really abnormally low because I got them pierced with a gun, and the attendant who was there at the time, it was free. So after that, I basically almost immediately wanted to get my second lobe piercings on both sides, as well as my helix on my left ear. So just gotta wait, 10 years until you get your next ones? Anyways, I went to Crow Piercing in Hongdae. I had heard about a couple other shops. There was one called Nana, I think, in Apgujeong, and a friend had recommended that one to me, but I decided to go to Crow because I had other native Korean speaking friends who were going to go to Crow really soon. As of 2018, it is a little shop almost immediately off of the Hongdae subway stop. It looks really nice on the inside. It looks really clean. Everyone looks like really professional, and for the most part, everyone was really nice to me. So you indicate which piercing you want, and then you pick your jewelry and point out where you want it. They take you into this curtain booth and sanitize things in front of you. I would recommend taking a friend who speaks fluent Korean, even if you take pictures with you, and even though all the piercers do speak English, it's better to be safe than sorry and miscommunicated. Also, definitely save and take pictures of exactly what you want. A lot of pictures on Google have like multiple piercings on an ear. Make sure you circle the piercing that you want, either in your notes app or whatever. I asked for the same woman every time because I liked how she did my first piercing. I like that she made me feel really comfortable with the whole process. The first piercings I got were both of my double lobes and my left helix, like I had always wanted. And I was sitting in class the next day and I immediately knew that my ears were not complete. I just had this feeling. I went back a week later and I got my second helix on the left side, and I got the helix on my right side. And then the third time I went back a week later and I got my triple lobe piercings as well as my conch piercing. I also got the middle left helix. So in total, for all my ear piercings, I have a triple helix on my left ear, as well as triple lobe piercings on my left ear. And on my right ear, I have a single helix piercing, a conch piercing, and 3 lobes. Let's talk about pricing. For the lobes at Crow, you paid just for the jewelry. There was no piercing fee on top of that. And I asked for gold every time because I had previously had really bad reactions with non-pure gold metals. Anything else that you wanted was the jewelry plus $10 USD. That was 10,000 won at the time. So for instance, my lobes had no piercing fee on any of them, but then anything that wasn't a lobe, you just tacked on 10 more US dollars to whatever you were paying for the jewelry. There's no tipping. Tipping is not customary in South Korea. The conch was 15. It was $5 for the surgical steel hoop and then $10 for the actual piercing. The helixes were all 30. It was 20 for the jewelry because I requested pure gold, and then it was $10 for each piercing service. And then for the lobes were all 15. I've changed out a couple earrings since then, but originally I had studs for all of my lobe piercings. I got studs for the topmost helix piercings, and then I got 2 gold wire hoops for the second and the third helix piercing on my left side. Everything was cash only. If you do get your ears pierced in a foreign country, try to see what the typical gauge of earring they use in that country is. So in America, I believe the gauges are usually size 18 to 20, whereas in South Korea, they definitely use size 21 and up. So the higher the number gauge you have, like 21, 22, 23, that's the thinner the hole actually is. 18 to 20, obviously bigger than 21. So when the backs of my earrings started just falling off in the shower, or because I was twisting them too much, it was really hard to find replacements for them in America. Let's talk about pain. The hoop is definitely slightly more painful than a stud at any point, no matter what part of your ear you get pierced. It's just because of the process for the hand piercing. If you want a stud, is just that they take a needle, they poke a hole in your ear, and then they just stick the stud in. It's really fast. Honestly, it takes a minute, 2 minutes tops. It's definitely a 4 out of 10 on the pain scale. There's just gonna be like a tiny little pop. It goes. For the hoop, I'd say the pain was definitely a 5 out of 10. If you want a thin hoop, at Crow, they have like these little gold wires. My piercer took the hoop, she pried it open, and then she laid it on the table. Then she pierced my ear with a needle. Then she inserted the hoop and threaded it through my ear. Then she used these clamps to close the hoop. They kind of look like pliers. Honestly, they might have been pliers. And the reason it hurt so much is because you can feel the wire the entire time it's moving through your ear. So it definitely takes a little longer because they go slow so they don't hurt you. And it is a bit more painful. The conch was by far the least painful. I'd rate it honestly a 3 out of 10. It was a similar pop as my helixes. You just hear a little when you're getting it done. The surgical steel hoop wasn't like the cartilage. It was definitely a little thicker, and it had its own like hinge. So she just put it in and then clamped it shut. She didn't need pliers, she didn't need anything. Unlike the gold wire where you had to have like some kind of other tool to help you with it. I was initially a little worried because I had previously had problems with non-pure gold metals in my ears, but I haven't had any problems ever with the surgical steel, so that's good news. It's also way cheaper. Have I ever had a bad experience? Yes, 9 out of 10 on the pain scale. It was so bad I almost cried. I essentially wanted a triple helix piercing, but I was having trouble finding pictures online, and I also didn't realize I wanted this until the 3rd week. So the first time I went in, I got my topmost helix piercing. The next time I went in, I got my lowest helix piercing because I thought I only wanted 2, but then a week later I was like, I want a 3rd one, and I want the 3rd one in between the other 2 I already have. Figures. My piercer had a lot of trouble accommodating it because my other piercings were so fresh, and you can tell they haven't healed yet, and then it's kind of hard to just like get in there. I'm not even sure if it's like a conventional piercing site or if she like super knew what I wanted. She definitely had difficulty piercing in between my existing piercing, and it definitely showed. It took almost twice as long as any of the other piercings I had gotten at Crow so far. When she was done, I asked her if it was difficult, and then she just said, yeah, a little bit, and that's when I knew she messed up. You can kind of tell when something's going wrong if it seems like it's taking longer than normal and the other person seems stressed. The healing process was still the same timeline though. There were no complications. Basically what ended up happening is my middle helix piercing, so the last one that I got that's in the weird spot, is just slanted. So just imagine that you pierce the first 2 at the same angle, but then the one in the middle got pierced at this like slightly not right angle. And like I can tell, no one else can tell, but I can tell. If I flip my hoops down, you can tell that the angle is not the same. That's why I keep them flipped up for the most part. Let's talk about healing and aftercare. For sleeping, people always ask me if it was hard getting so many piercings on both sides because of the sleep issue. But honestly, I just slept in the hole of my arm, like this, so it doesn't touch anything while I'm sleeping. Just sleep on your back for a month. It's not that bad. You only need to sleep specially as long as your piercings are fresh. So how long did it take? You know your piercing is done healing when you can basically fiddle around with it and nothing will happen. Like, you won't get any kind of pain, you won't feel that it's still a wound, you won't get any kind of bumps on your ears after playing with them. So typically after people first get their ears pierced, you might end up getting these like very, very small bumps surrounding the hole of your piercing. That's nothing to worry about. You just need to keep cleaning that area with whatever cleaning solution you're using, and don't try to pop it. Like, please don't try to pop it. It'll just make things worse. But that's also a sign that your piercing is still not healed yet. So once you stop getting those, and once you can fiddle around with your piercings without a problem, you know that it's fully done healing and you can change out your earrings for new ones. I was able to start fiddling with my lobes after 2 weeks with minimal soreness. It definitely healed completely within a couple months. That means that I could do things like going swimming. I wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. I could have changed out my piercings. Hoops definitely take longer to heal. I guess that's another like downside to getting pierced with hoops to begin with. You just have to be sure that's what you want. So my non-hoop cartilage piercings took 6 months to heal. My hoop cartilages didn't heal until 9+ months later. My conch definitely took the longest to heal. It took over a year to stop getting those bumps around the piercing area and to feel like I could move piercing inside of the hole and like nothing would happen. I got a lot of maybe TMI. What am I saying? This isn't all about my piercings video. I would get these little like crusty bits around my conch in particular. Some people get them around any piercing, which is like very unfortunate. But I definitely got them around my conch, and it took over a year for those crusty bits to stop happening. I was given a really low alcohol content solution to wash my piercings with. I just got this slip from Crow and I took it to any pharmacy, just gave it to the pharmacist there, and he was back. I think it was like, I don't know, like $1, $2. So I was supposed to wash them nightly and whenever I got them wet. So like if I took a shower at an odd time of the day, just like wash it out after you get in the shower. You can go swimming, you just gotta wash it out after you go swimming and stuff. I would take a Q-tip and I would dip it into this bottle that was like this big, and then I would just gently dab around both the front and the back of each piercing. I honestly stopped washing my piercings out after a week because I didn't really feel like I needed to do it. My piercings, like, for the most part, seemed fine. I used the solution occasionally when there was some kind of itchy flare-up, or if I did go swimming, something like that, or if I sensed like an almost infection coming on. When I ran out, I just used a little bit of iodine salt with a Q-tip. The ratio was 1/4 salt to 3/4 water. Were there any unexpected things? I didn't expect my piercings to heal so fast. Honestly, a really big deterrent for me getting these piercings was I was really afraid of them getting infected because I'd had such a really bad experience to the first time I got a piercing and like my ears always flaring up. I was just like nervous. I didn't expect to get so many piercings. I really thought I was just gonna get double lobes and then one cartilage on my left ear, but another thing about like being in South Korea is that a lot of women liked getting piercings because it was just an aesthetically beautiful thing. I think that's also why piercings are so cheap, because they're so common and like a lot of people just get them. I had a teacher in that exchange program who, I don't know, in American culture, I think there's a certain stigma behind people who get a lot of piercings, especially if you're from a smaller town or like not a really big city. It's not really just seen as an aesthetically beautiful thing. It's seen more as like an announcement of character. But this was like a lady who is super demure, super feminine, not someone I would have traditionally, in my ignorance, thought would have gotten a lot of piercings, but she had like a whole ear lined of cartilage piercings and it looked so beautiful on her. And I remember showing her my piercings after I got them and she was like, wow, it's so pretty. It was just a really nice bonding moment for us. I never really entertained the idea of multiple cartilage piercings until I got my first, and I just like really loved the way that it looked. I would just catch my ears in the mirror and I loved the way that it sparkled. I made, honestly, all of my jewelry decisions once I got to the piercing shop. I didn't think like, do I want a flower? Do I want a stud? Do I want a hoop? I just made all of those decisions on the spot. After the second time I went, I thought for sure I would have been done. But after looking at my ears in the mirror for a week, I really thought that the last 4 piercings that I got would seal the deal. I thought they would like make my ears reach their final form of how they were always supposed to look. And they did. And I'm so incredibly happy with my choice. My right double piercing backs fell out like very quickly after I got them. The earring backs all got loose after roughly like 1.5 years of wearing them in the shower. I had to push them really far in on my ear or else they would always fall out. Life tip, make sure the backs of your earrings, if you do change them, fit the gauge of your earring. I got really into earrings after I got all my piercings. I wasn't really into them before, but now if anyone ever asks me like, what do you want for a gift? You cannot go wrong with earrings. My collection has exploded. Sleeping on the airplane on the flight back was really hard. Sleeping on an airplane now in general is really hard. You should definitely get a plain pillow. Headphones. Though wearing headphones is fine, and like even with the conch in the placement that it is, it's fine, you will definitely start to feel like soreness around your conch after an hour, 2 hours. Also, a lot of over-the-ear headphones, they don't cover the outside of your ear. They're designed to press onto your ear. So as such, they will press onto your cartilage piercings. So just like keep that in mind. If that kind of headphone is really important to you, then maybe you do want to avoid certain types of piercings. It's not like it's gonna hurt. It's just that it's going to feel sore after a certain amount of time. And that's just gonna affect power study sessions and stuff like that. If it does feel sore though, I usually just take the headphones out for a little bit, maybe like 10 minutes, and then I put them back in and it's like good to go. How my parents reacted. So I knew my mom was gonna have a reaction, so I actually filmed it when she picked me up from the subway station after I got back from Korea. Here it is.
Yeah. What do you think of my ears? Oh my god! Are you kidding me, Ellie? What are you doing? Oh my goodness.
My dad actually didn't comment on my ears, and high-key he like didn't notice that I got them until a year later. We were like in the elevator, and then he just like looked over at my ears and he just said, "Ew, why did you do that?" Moral of the story, your dad might not notice. Things I've heard from friends. I heard in America they don't let you do multiple piercings in one sitting. They'll just tell you no. That certainly was not the case for me. No one even blinked twice when I wanted, what did I want? 4 piercings in one sitting? I heard a lot of places won't let you get pierced with a hoop, so they'll make you get pierced with a stud and then you can come back later and get it changed for a hoop. But I was just able to get mine pierced with a hoop right away. I heard some places won't pierce you with a non-pure metal. Like for instance, they wouldn't let you get your initial piercing with surgical steel, but that again, like wasn't the case for me. A lot of places have stamp cards. So if you're thinking you're gonna get multiple piercings, just get a stamp card your first time. You might be able to get that last one for free. In Korea, piercing places are definitely always separate from tattoo places, but in America, a lot of places do both. I got my ears pierced in Seoul, which is like a major city, but they were so cheap. I heard in America, piercings are hella expensive in big cities especially. So if you're gonna get your ears pierced and you want something like really conventional and you don't like have super fancy jewelry taste, just go outside of the big city. Your wallet will thank you. People getting their license to become a piercer need to get X amount of piercings before they can be officially licensed. So if you like have a friend of a friend or you're asking around and you feel comfortable with that person, you could get like a really cheap piercing in America if you go with someone who's not licensed yet. Some of my friends have advised me against getting more adventurous piercings around my ears because they say there's a lot of nerve endings up there. Just like do your research. If you're planning on eventually changing for a hoop, especially for nose piercings, let your piercer know because that might change the placement of what they do initially. Common questions I get asked. What material should you get your earrings in? If you're unsure of whether your body is like sensitive to certain metals or not, I would just always recommend getting some kind of pure metal. I would just always recommend gold, needle or gun. All of the piercings they did in Crow were by hand, not with a gun. Please do not get your ears pierced with a gun. You've seen a lot of horror stories online about people shattering their ear cartilage because they got something pierced with a gun. The reason people use guns is because they're easy to teach people how to use, but would you rather get hand pierced by someone who is assured to know what they're doing, or would you rather go to Claire's and get an attendant who makes minimum wage to pierce your ears after 5 minutes of training on how to use the gun? Studs or hoops? I personally find it super annoying when my hair gets caught in studs, so I generally like hoops. I've changed a lot of my earrings for hoops since I initially got them pierced, and I would recommend hoops. But again, it's just a look. It's all about what you want. I personally find it super annoying when my hair gets caught in studs, and I kid you not, the paranoia is off the charts when I take a shower because I always am checking to see if the backs are still there. Sometimes I'll be studying and I like reach up and touch my ear and I like realize an earring back has fallen out, and it's like the worst feeling. Strategizing your piercings. I googled basically all the types of piercings that you could get and then just looked to see which ones seemed appealing to me. I wasn't really afraid of the pain, especially after my first round of getting piercings. Just be really detailed and specific about what you want and really try to bring a visual. I think the last biggest thing people say to me is, "Help! My ears are getting infected. My piercings aren't healing." I was really fortunate because I had a really speedy healing process. Unfortunately, some people's bodies like really reject piercings. Like no matter how long the piercing's been in their body, they'll still get flare-ups, they'll still get infections. People who've had helixes, like my roommate, for 3+ years still get infections. My best infection advice is just to pull the back of your earring out slightly. That gives the skin a little room to swell a bit more. It relieves the pressure on your inflamed skin. Be diligent about the salt wash, especially when you feel your ears are getting itchy. That's like the before infection stage, or when they are infected. Be sure to clean your piercings immediately after showering if you feel like you're infection prone. Don't sleep on them. Essentially, you have to baby them, so don't play with them too much. Don't fiddle with them. Don't let it touch anything, and make sure to keep it clean. In my experience, whenever anything's been flaring up, it usually takes me just about a week for it to calm back down and for me to feel comfortable with switching out piercings again. If your infection is causing you headaches or is spreading to not just the immediate piercing area, but your whole ear, I would recommend honestly just taking the piercing out, and then if it still hurts, to go see a doctor. So that is all about my piercings. That is all my advice for people who want to get piercings. I hope this video was helpful. Feel free to DM me if you have any more questions, but this is pretty much my comprehensive knowledge on what to do about your piercings. Don't let other people sway you in terms of telling you what to get, because honestly, these are your ears. If I had listened to other people, I wouldn't have got as many as I did, and I'm so happy with what I have now. So just do you.